let's talk LUFS 2. So last week I made a video and I took my mix of Krave Amiko's Oh So Badly, my -10 LUFS mix, and I made a -14 LUFS version and a -7 LUFS version. I level matched them, cut them all together, and played it down so that people could hear that it switched between the different loudness versions, once level matched, seamlessly. So surely there was some slight balance differences between them. There definitely was added distortion on the -7 LUFS mix because this mix wasn't a candidate to be quite that loud. But in general, the music fan, if they were listening to this, they would not notice these switches. So I got a bit of pushback on that. Well, EDM and death metal. And so all of a sudden genres start coming out. And somehow if I do this to EDM, you'll notice the value added on the loudness. The loudness is important in those genres. First of all, those are far less dynamic genres in general, because there's a lot of samples going on and the samples don't change in level. So, you got a beat with a kick and a snare very forward that are not dynamic at all. And that's going to give you a louder product before you even add a limiter. So I made a little EDM track. I actually listened to this genre. I wasn't trying to make the greatest EDM track in history here. I was trying to make something that I could demonstrate this with. I'll play it for you. Okay, so the first 4 bars are the same as the next 4 bars. It's an 8-bar loop, basically. There's no dynamic, really, to speak of. And when I bounce that, and there's also distortion, which, EDM has a lot of distortion. So we could probably get away with a louder treatment of it. We can bring in added distortion, and it's not as big a deal as something that's clean, like the mix that I did last week. So let me open up RX for you. This is the mix with no limiter, -10.8 LUFS, okay? Which is pretty loud. It's not super loud, but you got good loudness, 10.8. Most records that I'm going to master are going to come out in the 9-10 LUFS range. Let's see. And then I made another version, a -8.1 LUFS version, that I had to put a limiter on to get to there. And then I made a -6 LUFS integrated LUFS version. Okay. And then I gain matched them. So let me show you that. Here's my -6.1 level match, and that spits out a -10.8 LUFS integrated. So this is exactly what's going to happen on streaming. They're going to try and make a target level. It's going to be -14 on Spotify. And so this is -10.8 LUFS. Okay, so let me play this. Let me show you this, actually. So the -10.8 LUFS has no gain adjustment. And then this has a -2.7 dB gain adjustment on the 8.1 LUFS version. And then a -4.7 dB gain on the 6.1 LUFS. And let's just take a listen to what happens when we take the 3 of these and we cut them together. Pretty seamless. Now, I will say that this -6.1 LUFS version, the balances do change. And let me just go back and forth between these here for you. And I had to do some things to get that snare so it wasn't sticking out so much. And there's definitely added distortion. But once again, when I play the switching between the level matched versions, there's really not an enormous difference between them. It's very minor. And I can say that it's minor because if we can switch between them and you can barely notice it, that's a minor sonic difference, okay? Now, I'm not saying you can't mix your record loud. You can mix your record as loud as you want. What I'm trying to bring to people's attention is this idea that you need to have the loudness to bring value added to your mix, to make your mix better, is total bullshit. Okay? So, further, if you want to get loudness, you're better off deriving your loudness from the mix itself. In this case, we have no change in dynamic. So the mix is spitting out a minus 10.8 LUFS right off the bat before I even limit it. The minus 7 version that I tried is clean. So I can get this up to minus 7 without a lot of added distortion. When I start to try and push it to minus 6, it starts to really degrade really quickly. Maybe you like it better with the kick being more aggressive, protruding more. It's true that, maybe a mastering engineer who's super skilled at making things super duper loud could do it without the added distortion. But, that would belie the fact that when you listen to really super loud major label releases, they clearly have added distortion. So, I don't know about that. I've spent my life mixing, not mastering. So, and I don't really have interest in making shit that loud because it gets worse to me. Maybe you like it better. That's fine. But nobody can make the argument that, you need the loudness on the EDM track because if you don't, then it's going to sound weak. Because the minus 10.8 LUFS version does not sound weak compared to the minus 6.1 LUFS version. I'll play it again for you. There is a tiny bit of more perceived loudness from that minus 6 LUFS version even after level matching. Definitely. But it's not what people make it out to be. That's for sure. And I could argue the minus 10.8 LUFS version bumps more because it's got more low end. And the minus 6 LUFS version really isn't how I hear the track because it puts the kick and the snare even louder. If I wanted the kick and the snare even louder, I'd mix the kick and the snare even louder. All right, anyway. So now people are going to tell me some other genre. Oh, death metal. Like that isn't all samples. Like that isn't already a not very dynamic genre. Okay? I mean, clearly there is no value added by using a limiter to derive loudness. And once it's level matched, and once the streaming sites level match it and normalize it, there's going to be very little difference between your mix and someone else's mix that was turned in at minus 14 LUFS. Again, make stuff as loud as you want. I don't care. But don't tell me that there's value added to it. Don't tell me that it makes it better. If you think it makes it better, fine. But I've proven that it's seamless. The differences are minor. All right. That's it. That's my Let's Talk LUFS 2. All right. Well, if you made it this far, do me a favor and like the video. This helps. And subscribe to the channel. I've been experimenting a little bit with shorts and mixing live on streaming. And visit my website, mixerman.net, to find out about my various books that can help you with your journey in making records and music.